But I want to start with England and Shaka, interim manager in charge. Republic of Ireland away for England. That should be a good one in Dublin, and Finland at home. So how about this one? Lee Carsley as the interim, Ashley Cole as the assistant, Tim Dittmer, the goalkeeping coach, and Jolien Lescott, the coach. Interim meaning for not too much longer, or an opportunity for them to stake their claim to get this permanently?
Well, certainly if I'm Lee Carsley or any of that backroom staff, it's an opportunity. You aren't expecting to still be the head coach and manager in the next international window in October, mid-October, I believe it is. But it's an opportunity for you. 2 games now, two very winnable games, for you to stake that claim. It's a no-lose situation in that nobody's expecting you to stay on, but if all of a sudden you surpass all expectations, you surprise everyone, and there's some kind of an outcry from the players that Lee Carsley et al. Need to stay in place, then you get the job, and if they don't, well, you weren't expecting to anyway. But it's more an opportunity than a curse, certainly.
LME, what's the criteria here? Shaka's just said if you do well and the players like you, you've got a chance of getting the job. I mean, they're playing Ireland and Finland here. No disrespect to those two nations, but England should be beating them with whichever manager.
There's no Scotland. There's no Scotland, Mark.
Really? 0-0 at Wembley the last time. Come on now. Well, are they every time you mention Scotland, Shaka, come on, give it a rest, please. Is there a danger that England fall into a trap here, the FA fall into a trap, and that they hire Lee Carsley when some better opportunities for other managers are available because they do well against Ireland and Finland and everything goes swimmingly in a Nations League, League B campaign, Ellen?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because it's very important to remember that this is the Nations League, with all due respect, some lower opposition against England, and also coming off, by the way, reaching a Euros final as well. But I think the sentiment is this. This is a new chapter for England, whether he at the moment is interim or not. I'm actually a really big fan of Lee Carsley. I followed him extensively for the under-21s when they won the Euros there, and I like the way he plays. People will think that it's a Southgate 2.0, and he's not. Obviously, the formation is 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, but he's way more offensively minded. He likes to be way more creative outside the box, and all these players that are part of this squad, a lot of them have been part of that under-21 setup, right? Obviously, Cole Palmer is not going to be part of it as he's returning to the club to rehab, but like he was a big component of it. He's not afraid, Lee Carsley, to like play around with like an actual role. Anthony Gordon, for example, he likes to play him as a striker sometimes. He uses his fullbacks really, really well. The double pivot likes to go aggressively more forward. There's a lot of inventiveness here. So I'm a big fan of this. And Anthony Gordon once said he called him the best man manager he's ever worked with. And I like that, because now you're seeing this England team who obviously has so much talent, an embarrassment of riches. But now we can see this new product like Noni Madueke. Let's see how he can do, etc. Livramento, of course, who also worked on the Lee Carsley. So now you're seeing this Nations League matches. You're obviously not expecting, to have massive headlines saying, oh, England won against Ireland. As you mentioned, it's expected. But it's about how they're playing now and what inventiveness is going to. And this is the very first chapter of that. So I root for him because I really like what he's done with the under-21. So we'll have to see what happens. And the biggest criticism on Southgate, even though they made the Euros, was they made it in a sort of stopgap situation. It wasn't exactly super impressive from the very beginning. But I think that Lee Carsley is way more offensively forward-thinking and way more creatively thinking. And like Anthony Gordon said, a very good man manager. So far, so good. Let's see what happens in these 2 matches to begin this new chapter.
Shaka, 4 uncapped players: Noni Madueke, Tino Livramento, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Angel Gomez at Lille. I like the fact that he goes for, immediately off the back, he's going for form over favouritism. And I suppose with a fresh manager or interim manager comes fresh ideas. How much we see of these guys, not so sure, but it is an opportunity for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an opportunity. You get called into the squad. You're hoping you see minutes, and you're hoping you make the most of those minutes. And again, regardless of whether Lee Carsley is in charge in October or not, I think this can only be a positive for those 4 players. The challenge, as you rightly point out, Mark, is whether those 4 players get in, whether they see significant minutes. How is Lee Carsley going to change things, certainly in that regard? And while, in my own opinion, I think there are a lot of England's players who were part of the Euros who kind of maybe struggled through Euros and kind of maybe struggled to start this season. I don't think Harry Kane looked himself. I know he was carrying a bit of an injury through the Euros and got off to a decent start with Bayern. Declan Rice, who I thought was Arsenal's best player last season, didn't look at all good in the Euros, in my opinion. He looked a little leggy, and we all know about the start that he's made with Arsenal, and you can probably look at any number of the usual suspects in that England squad and feel the same. So I'm sure there are club managers out there who are hoping that Lee Carsley is adventurous and gives some of these young players the minutes that they want. But let's see. And to your point, if this is kind of a free hit audition for Lee Carsley and his backroom staff, they may want to put out their strongest squad. They are not interested in bringing through young players into the squad. So I'm kind of keen to see what Lee Carsley does over the next week.